He had a 142 IQ, 2 degrees, and a $148,000 salary. And at 39, his bank account had exactly $312 in it. Meanwhile, the guy who fixed his air conditioner that same week, a high school graduate earning $61,000, had just crossed a net worth of $840,000. This isn't a joke. This isn't clickbait. This case study represents real financial patterns and real-world data. So the question we're about to unpack is uncomfortable. Why do smart people so often stay poor, while completely average people quietly build wealth? Let me introduce you to someone. We'll call him Arjun. Arjun isn't a real person, but every number in his story is. Arjun graduated top of his class, engineering, then an MBA. On paper, he was the kind of person your parents point at during dinner and say, "See, do like him." By 30, he was earning 6 figures. By 35, he was making $148,000 a year, more than 85% of American workers. So here's the trapdoor question. If he was that smart and earning that much, how was he broke? Because being smart and being rich are two completely different sports, and most educated people never realize they're playing the wrong one. Let's rewind. When Arjun finished his MBA, he walked out with something invisible, around $92,000 in student loans, close to the US average for graduate borrowers. But nobody warned him what compound interest at 7.9% actually feels like when you're paying it, instead of earning it. Still, he thought, I earn well, I'll be fine. That single sentence is where most smart people go broke, because a big paycheck doesn't create wealth, it just creates a bigger lifestyle. And Arjun's lifestyle grew faster than his salary ever could. By 32, he was leasing a car for $640 a month, renting a downtown apartment for $2,900, weekend brunches, weekday DoorDash, a gym membership he used exactly 4 times. And then, because he was smart, he made the classic smart person mistake. He waited for the perfect time to invest. He researched, he read books, he listened to podcasts, he built spreadsheets, he knew more about investing than 99% of people. He just never actually invested. This is called analysis paralysis, and researchers have found it hits high IQ professionals harder than anyone else. The smarter you are, the more reasons your brain gives you to wait. Meanwhile, let me tell you about Mike. Mike fixes air conditioners. Mike didn't finish college. Mike doesn't know what a Roth IRA technically is. But Mike has one. Mike earns $61,000 a year. That's below the US median household income of about $83,000. On paper, Mike should be struggling. But Mike does 3 boring things that Arjun, with all his intelligence, has never done consistently for a single year of his life. 1. Mike automatically transfers 15% every paycheck into an index fund. He doesn't know the ticker symbols. He doesn't care. He just doesn't touch it. 2. Mike drives a used pickup he paid off 8 years ago. Arjun leases a new sedan every 3 years. Guess who has more freedom? 3. Mike bought a small 3-bedroom house in 2011 for $148,000. Today, it's worth around $310,000. He didn't time the market. He just bought a house and stayed in it. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Let's put real numbers on the table. Over the last 15 years, the S&P 500 returned roughly 10% per year on average. That's a real, historical number, not a promise. Mike put in about $9,000 a year. Boring. Automatic. No stress. After 15 years, he's sitting on roughly $286,000 in that account alone. Arjun? Over those same 15 years, he invested nothing consistently. He tried to time 3 market dips. He panicked and sold during one of them. His total portfolio today around $18,000. Same country, same 15 years, same stock market. One earns $148,000. One earns $61,000. The one earning less has 15 times more money. Now, before you say that's just one person's story, let's zoom out, because the data behind this is brutal. A recent report from Bank of America and a separate Goldman Sachs survey found that around 40% of Americans earning over $300,000 a year say they live paycheck to paycheck. Read that again. Not $30,000. $300,000. And they're still one missed paycheck away from panic. And the US personal savings rate? It hovered around 4.4% for most of 2025. Historically, since 1959, the average has been about 8.4%. We're saving nearly half of what our grandparents saved. The average American credit card balance for people who carry debt is around $7,886, not $700. Almost $8,000, sitting at interest rates north of 20%. So if you're feeling behind, you're not broken. The system is exhausting. But here's the twist most people miss. The people quietly winning this game are almost never the smartest people in the room. They're the most consistent ones. Because wealth is not built by the person with the best strategy. It's built by the person who actually executes an okay strategy for 20 years without stopping. And this is where the story turns, because at 39, Arjun finally had a moment. Not a breakthrough, a breakdown. His card got declined at a coffee shop in front of a colleague for a $6 latte. He drove home. He didn't cry. He didn't rage. He just opened every bank account, every credit card, every loan, and looked at the truth for the first time in a decade. Negative $47,000 net worth. At 39, with a 142 IQ. And here's what he realized, and I want you to sit with this for a second. Intelligence had actually been his enemy. Because his brain was so good at rationalizing, it rationalized him into poverty. Every time he should have invested, his brain said, wait for a dip. Every time he should have downsized, his brain said, you've earned this. Every time he should have automated savings, his brain said, you're smart enough to do it manually next month. Meanwhile, Mike, without a single finance book on his shelf, had one simple rule. If the money hits my account, part of it disappears before I can be smart about it. So Arjun did something no textbook ever taught him. He copied Mike. He canceled the car lease and bought a used Toyota for $11,000 cash. Well, financed at 6%, but you get the point. He moved from the downtown $2,900 apartment to a $1,650 place 20 minutes further out. He set up automatic transfers he wasn't allowed to touch. He didn't get rich. Let me be honest with you. This isn't that kind of video, but 4 years later, at 43, his net worth was finally positive, around $38,000. And climbing. Nothing dramatic, no Ferrari, no YouTube thumbnail with a private jet. Just slowly, painfully, unglamorously, free. So what's the lesson buried in all this? Let me give it to you straight. No motivational nonsense. Lesson 1. Intelligence without action is more dangerous than ignorance with action. A person who does the boring thing beats the genius who plans the perfect thing. Lesson 2. The size of your paycheck doesn't decide your wealth. The size of the gap between what you earn and what you spend does. Lesson 3. Automation beats motivation. Every single time. Your future self should not have to negotiate with your present self. And Lesson 4. The market doesn't care how smart you are. It rewards how long you stay in it. Historically, roughly 10% a year, on average, for over half a century. Not a guarantee, a pattern. Now I want you to do something uncomfortable. Pause the video just for a moment and ask yourself one question. Am I the smart person who's quietly losing, or the boring person who's quietly winning? Because the truth nobody tells you is this. Being smart is not the finish line. It's just the starting gun. What you do in the 20 years after that gun goes off, that's the whole game. And if this video made you feel a little uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the most valuable thing you'll get from the internet this week. Sit with it. Because somewhere out there, right now, a guy fixing an air conditioner is quietly out-earning a room full of geniuses. And the only difference between him and them is what they do tomorrow morning. So tell me honestly, which one are you becoming?